All right, welcome back to the program. Joining me right now at the table is Paul Alaje, who is the lead economist at SPM Professionals. Paul, welcome to the program.
Yeah, thank you so very much for having me.
And joining us also via Zoom is Dr. Ikechi. Dr. Ikechi, are you there? Dr. Ikechi is joining us from River State University. He is the senior researcher, Agriculture and Applied Economics Department. And okay, Dr. Ikechi, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Nancy. The pleasure is all mine.
And Professor Gambo is joining us from Yobe State. Professor Gambo is the Dean, Faculty of Agriculture, Yobe State University. Professor, good to see you. Welcome to the program. I haven't seen you in a long time, no thanks to COVID.
Yeah.
Professor, good to the program. I haven't seen you in a long time, no thanks to COVID.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Nancy. How is my in-law doing?
They are fine. They are fine. They are good. Okay, let's get started. Prof, I will need you to turn down the volume of your TV set. Prof, if you can hear me, I'll need you to turn down the volume of your TV set. Thank you. Okay, let me start with Dr. Ikechi because you teach agriculture and you teach it in school. Dr. Ikechi, what would you make of the situation that we have right now? Dr. Ikechi, are you there?
But I will try not to raise it.
Dr. Ikechi, can you hear me?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Okay, I did ask, what can you make of the situation we are in right now? Russia-Ukraine crisis, Nigeria exports about, we export wheat from Ukraine and Russia. We've said it here on the program so many times since this war started. But the situation right now, what can you make of it? And what are you telling your students in school? What would you have to say even to the Nigerian government in terms of preparedness of perhaps an imminent food shortage if we do not, address this quickly?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. Like I pointed out in the other interview I had with one of the correspondents from Italy, I was telling them that the Russia and the Ukraine crisis is actually a window or a corridor of opportunity for Nigeria, and not just Nigeria, for other sub-Saharan African countries. And well, for Nigeria, I know that last year the Central Bank of Nigeria placed a ban. They stopped to give subsidies for importation of wheat, which was a very good idea, so that there will be more entrants. The agriculture sector is a very great sector that's like wheat farmers, cereal. Wheat is actually from the cereal family. That's where you can get sorghum and maize and all of that, and millets, And if we have more farmers who are serious-minded, if we have technology, if we have stronger persons who can actually compete favorably in its production, like we already have someone like Dangote and few of them, then we will be able to produce sufficiently. But now, since Russia and Ukraine, they are the countries that we depend on most times in importing not just wheat, even fertilizer, and even the oil that we talk about. We are talking about, and it's really a heavy blow on Nigeria. We like I have like I carried out a research recently on the SADC region and also in ECOWAS region, and I discovered that the heat is much. The prices of essential commodities are getting high. There's hike in price of food, and you know why? Not just like I said earlier, that it's not just wheat and fertilizer, also oil. So that also means that the farmers who have produced from the rural areas, from the, where there are agroclimatic conditions are favorable for production. And of course, we have a very low rural infrastructure to actually, ensure more productivity. So what the situation at the moment is actually hitting hard on Nigeria. So, but like I said, is a window of opportunity for not just the Central Bank of Nigeria, but for also the presidency and other funding agencies to see how for us to scale up and improve on our oil. Because since Nigeria is the highest producer of oil in the entire Africa, of course, Africa is about 60 countries, and in sub-Saharan Africa, Nigeria has a very robust economy, so it's actually an opportunity for us to cash in on. But with respect to the price issue, and it's hitting Ghana hard. Even the bakers have been complaining. They are sending messages on our group chats that it's actually hitting hard.
Okay, Dr. Ikechi. Yeah, Dr. Ikechi, I'll come back to you in a bit. Professor Gambo, if you can hear me, I would like you to respond to this. How long does it take if you plant how long does it take to grow? I think I asked that question last week and I attempted to answer it, though I'm not an agriculturist. But how long does it take to grow? And do you think that Nigeria would face a food crisis, or is it just being exaggerated if we are not in it already? Prof, are you there? Can you hear me? Okay, Prof, if you can hear me, I hope that Prof can hear me so that you unmute. Okay, I'm being told his network is bad. Professor Gambo, try to reconnect with us again and unmute your audio so that you can hear me. Okay, Paul, let me come to you here. Food prices high, food inflation still high. NBS numbers came in last week for February inflation. Food prices still high. What do you have to say? There's MPC today, and the decision will be out today. So attempt the question of food inflation.
Well, food inflation is high because supply side is low and demand continues to grow. Nigeria and Saudi Arabia.
Supply side is low.
Supply side is low.
Yeah.
Demand continues to grow. Nigeria and Saudi Arabia are two countries among the very few countries with high population growth rates. As I speak to you, Nigeria is not doing anything about population growth rates. So we have a channel of stimulating the world population by increasing our number. Last count, 206 million people, subject to census confirmation, and we are not sure when that will happen. But let's assume that the figure that is available, which is over 200 million, is the number. People, for them to be alive, they need to eat, either through autonomous consumption, through transfer payment, or through their own earnings. They must earn. Now, they must eat. Another thing is, some of the food we even eat, they are imported. Wheat, for instance, over 800 billion was what we spent in importing wheat in 2000. The only production we had was 55,000 tons in what's it called, in 2000. So food inflation would increase. I've heard a lot of people say we have arable land, we have population, therefore let's combine. The work of government in economy is to combine what an entrepreneur will do in company, is to combine factor of production. So the challenge we still have is that chief executive and their assistants have not been able to rightly combine factor of production so that things will grow. But there is a shorter way. Unfortunately, the shorter way is not where many people are looking at. That is what South Korea did. That's what Japan did. Germany, countries with largest population in their region. What they did was to create a viable manufacturing sector, so that manufacturing will serve as those that love to do manufacturing, or those that want to produce inputs for manufacturing, such as agri sector, for instance, which is the primary sector, could now provide for secondary sectors such as manufacturing. Not so much is done about it. You cannot discuss agriculture in isolation. Even great professors, doctors in university, if government don't make it a program, the program is not just for us to give farmers money. When we give farmers money, I can cite several instances even with rice, and as to why we are still not achieving such results, why we still have people smuggling rice, why the prices are still high. So food inflation will continue to go. Again, ordinary person, someone that planted corn, you wonder why is the price of corn increasing? Because the person is part of economic agents. If he sells his corn for 10 naira, is he going to go to the same market and queue in filling station or join a bus that has queued in filling station and the price has increased? His own source of livelihood is corn. That is why the price would increase. So when we look at Russia-Ukraine crisis or invasion, what we can observe is that in Eastern Europe there is crisis, not knowing that Nigerians, there is no bomb, no rockets exploded in Nigeria. No stone was thrown in Nigeria, but Nigeria is crying.
No, okay, about, and I hope that Professor Gambo is on now and listening. I'll come back to you after Paul. I hope he's reconnected with us. Director, I'll need a cue on that. Thank you. If we take a look at what's happening in Russia, Ukraine, now it seems that, okay, we're blaming Russia, Ukraine.
No. I'm not blaming Russia.
No, I'm not saying for you.
Okay.
I'm saying, okay, a lot of the reportage or even the media and all of that, we also have our own challenges here, which I talked about earlier before you came in, the insecurity and all of that. Is that still a factor for our farmers not going to the farm? Because you said earlier that supply is low and demand is high.
Yes, it's one of the major factors. So we have other factors affecting the current food crisis. You know, you cannot take food from farm. Food cannot disappear from farm and appear in urban center or at the marketplace. You must go through logistics. The rail we have today, even though we are working seriously on our rail to bring it back to life, but what we have still carries people largely. And I'm of the opinion that most of the narrow gauge line that connect the whole country should be purely for goods by now. Why we now use this standard gauge for people. So if the ministry can say all narrow gauge that connect from Port Harcourt to Maiduguri to carry only food, what connect from Lagos to Kano, carry only food, up to, what do we call it now, up to Fontua, up to the boundary of Nigeria. If that can be carrying good, that reduces the burden. Because the seller, the farmer, when he sells his food, there is still need for someone to move it from farm to where we can consume
and transport costs.
Now what happens? We go back to our refineries. What is happening now should actually make Nigeria foreign reserve to become robust. It should have made Nigeria to even have more, because if we have functional refineries, as we extract oil from Niger Delta, we take it to somewhere close, maybe in the same Niger Delta, maybe Kaduna refinery, and refine and sell. Nigeria should have no business with this crisis. But unfortunately, we lived a lifestyle that we cannot maintain. We have left the oil extraction to few companies to manage exports, then we go back and import. It just does not make any economic sense.
Okay. Okay, let's try to reconnect Dr. Gambo again. Let's try to reconnect him. Dr. Ikechi, let me ask you the question I did ask Professor Gambo earlier. How long does it take for wheat, if we plant wheat, for example, because wheat, Russia and Ukraine produce and supply the rest of the world, a larger percentage to the rest of the world. How long does it take wheat to grow, really? And is this something that we can do on a short term? Can we really grow wheat right here in Nigeria very quickly, like as an emergency solution?
Definitely. We can grow wheat in Nigeria, and wheat has been recorded to even grow in the northern part of Nigeria, in north central and in the northeast. Wheat can take about roughly 140 days to grow. That's between 125 to 140 days for it to mature. And of course, when after production of wheat, of course, the farmer is expected to sell his product, is expected to have off-takers. Yeah, and at this time, when some farmers in the north are complaining that they cannot, Nigerian farmers are mostly smallholder farmers. And that's where actually the government, personally, I've stopped blaming the government. What about private investors and the Nigerians in diaspora groups who are scattered all over, building up the economies of developed worlds? And of course, they are trying. Like last year, when I was asked to carry out a project as a diaspora expert at the food crop production technology transfer station at Ubiaja, one of them out of the four that was established in 1982. And I was also asking them about wheat. And they said, yes, wheat can actually grow in that facility. And they have one in Geshwa. Professor Gambo will even agree to that, that the food crop production technology transfer station, which actually has the capacity to grow not just permanent crops, which are also plantation and perennial crops, but also arable crops, that's where wheat belongs, in the arable crops. So if such facility can be improved on, if technology can come in, we can even set up greenhouses, like I proposed to them about the, setting up a greenhouse, setting up more, building up the infrastructure. And of course, they have to work with the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and the Federal Ministry of Science and Technology, because that touches on innovation now. And we are talking about being more entrepreneurial. Setting up of factories also comes in. And why am I talking about factories? Because, that's the whole idea. And like you asked me about the implication for Nigeria, when our youths are still expressing, indifference. Like you asked me about my students in school. Yes, my students, I normally paint agriculture very attractive to them. I tell them that agriculture, has a lot of opportunities now. And interestingly, many of them are now practicing agriculture. Since I joined the River State University, I really want to say that I don't really believe in carrying notes to class. You have to, tell them the truth, and you have to also encourage them in such a way that they are seeing it on ground. They are seeing the facility on ground. And of course, we know that, the government of River State is also very much interested in building up the agriculture resource from the crops, livestock, forestry, and also the fishery.
Okay. Okay, Doctor, I will come back to you in a bit and talk about perhaps, when we are looking at food security, there are three things that we should look at: quality of food, affordability, as well as availability, and which one is even hitting us the most, if not the three. But I just hope Professor Gambo, is Professor Gambo back up? Okay, Professor Gambo is not back up. Paul, I did ask a question earlier, and I don't think you responded to it. MPC meeting starts and ends today. It's supposed to be a two-day policy meeting, but I don't know what's happening. But of course, perhaps it could be one of those things, whether the governor or members of the MPC have other things to do. Okay, so we're expecting a decision today. How do you think that this decision will really impact? And what kind of MPC do you expect to see? Russia, last one was in January. There was no Russia-Ukraine crisis. There were, some other things that they were contending with. The MPC encouraged the CBN to continue interventions and all of that. What kind of MPC address do you expect to see today, especially with the fact of what we are experiencing right now around food inflation, around an uptick in inflation?
Well, we're in sensitive time, sensitive moment. If MPC, there are three possibilities: increase rates, hold rates, do nothing. But there is a fourth one, which is what I think I would advise Monetary Policy Authority to play with. First, if you increase rates, you will possibly have more inflow, foreign direct investment, or investment, it could be portfolio investment, whatever it is. It will have positive impact on our foreign reserve in the short term. But you know, you have to deal with inflation. It's already 15.7%. Official figure, even though unofficially, my opinion is more than 45%. And if you ask me why, I will tell you. From my own
why
basket,
should you believe in unofficial? And
no,
you're
no,
an
no,
economist.
I'm not saying I believe in unofficial. I say my own basket of commodity.
Okay.
Which MBS did not capture.
Which is?
Do you understand? There are a lot of things in basket of commodity that are not captured by the MBS. So I'm not saying MBS figure is wrong.
Which are?
But it's true.
I'm
going somewhere. It's true to the point of what MBS captured. And I have the opinion that MBS should reveal what they put in that basket. Okay. Because there are other things that should be included to give true picture. If not, people will make mess of professionals. They will feel you are saying that inflation month on month is only 1 or 2%, but we went to the market yesterday, we came back today, the gap is much. So MBS needs to review some of the things in the basket to capture the reality of today. Some of the sectors that are called, what do we call it now? Some of the market that are called informal. Majority of our population are buying. So it's a discussion for another day. Let me focus.
Tell me two
I will
or three.
get to that. I will get to that. You know plenty of them.
I don't know.
I will get to that. I will get to that. But let's look at this. MPC, if they increase rates, you are going to see high inflation. And one of the core mandates of central bank is price control. Now, not price control, price stability. Now, if they reduce rates, you are going to see reduced inflation, but you will have to deal with dwindling foreign reserve. Now, if MPC says it's not doing anything, we just have to sit on the fence and continue. But there are other rates other than NPR. We have cash reserve requirement. CRL. We have liquidity ratio. Now, there is not enough fund, even though we say we want to mop up fund and all of those things. How can we stimulate investment without necessarily inducing inflation? How do we stimulate investment? And I also think that beyond what MPC is doing, I have asked people, can you tell me 3 policies that have been made by other legs of our economy? Listen, in power, we have 3 legs. The GENCOs, Discos, and transmission company. When it comes to economy, you also have 3 legs: monetary, fiscal and trade. Yeah. What 3 policies that trade has made in the last 5 years? 3 key policies that have impacted the economy. I'm thinking maybe 1, maybe none. Fiscal authority should not be reduced to paying salaries and presenting budgets. What policy have they made? You see, recently Central Bank came with a policy and said it wants to repatriate about $200 billion. How is that possible without trade support? Not possible. And this is not the first time. At least I've counted about 5 policies in the last 5 years Central Bank had come with during MPC. But some of those policies, because Central Bank cannot be actively involved. In fact, some of the intervention we are seeing is even the extreme of the Central Bank. Okay. And the Central Bank is doing that to support and to ameliorate poverty that we have in the land. Okay,
Prof is back. Professor Gambo, welcome back. The network pushed you away. I'm so sorry about that. But I hope you can hear me now. Prof, are we facing a food crisis yet? Are we in a food crisis mode, or we've not gotten there yet? Or has Nigeria been perpetually in a food crisis?
All right, thank you very much. I apologize for the network situation here. The weather in Damaturu is somehow foggy, and I think maybe it's that contributed to that. So Nancy, let's try to get the things first. The most important thing for all of us to understand is that there is no way you can separate food and security. They are inseparable. Once one is affected, then the other one is also directly affected. So that's first. Then the second one, since you're talking about food security, we've always said that there are 3 indices that determine food security. The first one is that the food must be available. Availability, very important. Then if it is available, then the affordability, the financial wherewithal, whereby you can actually go to the market and then buy whatever you want to buy for your meal. Then the third and the most important is the quality. It must be in a balanced way. Now we are talking about wheat, which happens to be one of the most important crops. You're asking about the gestation period of wheat. Yes, wheat is just about 3 months. And then areas where wheat can be grown, the whole of the northern latitude, where we call the Sahelian agroecological belt of Nigeria, coincidentally, the areas that we call the frontline states, sharing borders with the Republic of Niger, ranging from northern Kebbi to northern Sokoto, to northern Zamfara, northern Katsina, down to northern Bauchi, down to northern Yobe, and then finally in the northern Borno, and then shores of the Lake Chad. So all this is what you call the wheat belt, and wheat can actually do very, very well. And the wheat is just very similar to rice. People are now transplanting the rice. That's the dry season rice. So if the country if the country have been proactive, we also have started massive transplanting of wheat at the same time. You know, this thing started long ago. We knew that there was actually going to be a war. At the time, the United States president came out and said that Russia will actually attack Ukraine. So then there were plenty of diplomatic moves all over the world. Saudi Arabia, that is relying on them for their wheat, United Arab Emirates, and then plenty of African countries, Egypt, so Burkina Faso, Libya, etc., that are dependent on them. They have already started looking for alternative markets. But then, you know, Nigeria, the elephant we are just always staying in one place. We've not made anything until the war started, and now it's glaring. The food security situation is glaring, and people are in serious food security crisis already. And let's just look at the statistics given by the FAO. They said 40.1% unemployment rate, below poverty line, 40.1% of Nigerians below poverty line, and then 33.3% unemployment rate. All these are major indicators that are telling you that somebody that is not unemployed will actually be very difficult for him to get 3 square meals a day. And in most cases, nobody is talking about 3 square meals now. Most people are talking about a good breakfast and maybe a lunch that will make you not to wake up in the night. Then the most important thing to note also is wheat has been a traditional crop in most of the northern parts of the country. By the time you go to Borno State, most especially, from the Mafa to Dikwa to Gamborungala axis, you have the soil is black. We call it vertisols. It's clay and it's also black. During the rainy season, it absorbs plenty of water, which can be utilized after the rainy season. So this kind of black vertisols, coincidentally, is the same soil profile that is found in Russia and Ukraine. Exact soil profile, both in Ukraine and Russia, and we have it in most parts of Borno State, most especially the local governments of Mafa, Dikwa, Gamborungala, and then Bama up to Gwaza. All this, you have the black vertisols there. But people are planting sorghum now. They are not planting wheat. So had it been the country has been more proactive, and then we are aware that this kind of scenario exists, we'll have given a kind of matching order to the farmers, give them the necessary seeds, get the fertilizers ready, and we said, okay, please keep your sorghum aside, let's go for wheat production. And by now, the wheat will be there. Within the next 3 months, we can be able to harvest our wheat. But unfortunately, we have wasted so much time there. Now, another thing is alternative. What is the best alternative to wheat? So maybe the question I would like to ask is, if you're baking, Nancy, if you don't have wheat flour, what will be your best bet? Maybe your answer is going to settle this question.
Okay, Prof, the last time I checked, I'm not an agriculturist like you, but let me just, from the top of my head quickly, cassava flour will come to my mind because of what Dr. Akinwumi Adesina used to say those days. You don't have wheat, your substitute can be cassava flour. Prof, did I pass your exam, or I just failed woefully?
Yeah, you passed my exam, but then I remember one time talking to you that on whether you've seen the cassava bread. You told me you've not seen the cassava bread. And you asked me whether I've tested the cassava bread.
Okay.
I've seen the cassava bread, but I've never tested it.
Okay, during Akinwumi Adesina's time as agriculture minister, he gave me and I tested it.
To cassava is sweet potatoes.
Okay, are you saying the alternative to wheat is sweet potato?
Exactly, sweet potatoes can play a very great role by the time you put it in some flour, and then the dougability, the ability to make dough, the ability to rise is more in sweet potato than in cassava.
Okay, Prof.
And then secondly, you can.
Prof,
Yeah,
can
you
you
want
use
to say
sweet?
something?
Yes, Prof, can you use sweet potato to make pasta, to make noodles and pasta?
Definitely is the greatest alternative to what we're talking about.
Oh.
And then secondly, you have sorghum. But then I want to tell you some practical things that is happening around here. Sorghum is a very good alternative also. Sweet potatoes is not well grown around here. But then as for sorghum, sorghum is a major crop here. But one thing that is happening is, since the war started, sorghum was selling for about 15,000 naira per kg. Just yesterday at the Damaturu Sunday market, it grew to about 20,000 naira already. So you can see the differential. And then apart from that, there are people that are coming, money bags that are coming, that are mopping up every single grain in the market. Before the close of the market, the whole of the sorghum in the market has finished. The whole of the millet in the market has finished. The whole of the cowpea in the beans in the market has finished. So, and then I also did a kind of analysis to neighboring markets in other local government areas in Yobe State, and it's the same scenario.
Okay.
So there are some group of people that are mopping up food across most markets in the northern part of the country. Where are they taking the food to? Who is asking them to buy the food?
Yeah.
Are the food for the strategic grain reserves? Are the silos to be filled? But most of the silos are empty. And we've not heard of any governmental program that people are out to buy food or to mop up food, etc. So this is a very serious security issue also.
Oh.
Then the areas that are supposed to be food baskets as far as which is concerned, the Sokoto, Goronyo, Wurno axis, you cannot access your farm. You come to Zamfara, the Bakolari, Maran axis, no-go area. It's also a very good wheat zone. Then you come to Katsina, the Jibia Lake area, very good wheat area, no accessibility.
Okay, Prof.
Banditry and then other things. Then you continue moving. Perhaps there are 2 states now or 3 that we can actually give some matching orders, and then they can actually do some successes story there. The first one is the whole of the Southeast. You know, they have the best food content. They are the best in nutritional outfit. But then what is happening in the Southeast is a very big disaster to all of us.
Okay, Prof.
Really? People cannot access their farms, so it's a very serious thing. You said that at the beginning. Then maybe we'll have to move quickly to Professor Ben Ayede in Cross Rivers, let him do some magic for us, and then we quickly also reach out to Professor Zulubi in Borno State. If these 2 governors, coincidentally both of them are professors, if these 2 governors can actually come up with a short-term, immediate solution to the food crisis, I'm sure some little tangible achievements can actually be made.
Okay, Prof, you know, thank you for that submission. And we've almost closed the program because we're almost, getting to 12. So we've got to go. But I will ask Dr. Ikechi in just 30 seconds, what are your closing remarks? You've heard what Prof has to say. What are your closing remarks as we close?
Yeah, my closing remarks is that I appreciate what Prof said, because the research I carried out sometime not long ago, it actually in southeastern states of Nigeria connects to the northern part of Nigeria, where food actually major supplies, huge supplies of food comes from the northern part of Nigeria. And can I now say that even when he mentioned about the mopping up of food in around the Damaturu area in Yobe State, it's actually encouraged in agriculture. That is arbitrage. Some persons come and mop up food there because it's cheaper, and they go to another market to sell it just to make profit. So it's called arbitrage. It's encouraged, and that is how livelihoods can be sustained. Then we are talking about food security. Food security is actually, has a foundational pillar, 4 pillars, which is food availability, food accessibility, food utilization, and food stability. That is taking us to sustainability of food sufficiency. Now, we have talked about alternatives of
Doctor, I'm afraid I have to cut you now.
Like wheat and cassava.
Doctor, if you can hear me, I have to cut you now because we have to go.
And every plant, every crop that grows in the soils of Nigeria and other sub-Saharan African countries has the potential to combat every form of malnutrition and ensure also food security. So I think it is high time that we go out of our way to start encouraging building up of factories for value chain, because we are talking about food product.
Okay, I think, Doctor, I have to cut you at that point because we've got to go now. Paul, just in 20 seconds, if you can, your closing remarks.
Well, I have advised Simon again, how do we ensure that these youth that are not motivated get to farm? We have said so much. What should be done, how what should be done should be done. My addition will be, we have over 200,000 core members. Let's train them for farms. When some go, another one resume. But government must guarantee security, and government must also guarantee land. All the countries we spoke about, Russia, Ukraine, they have organized farm center, farm settlement. That is what is missing in Nigeria.
Okay.
When they know they don't have control and government pays them, we're going to have a complete cycle of food production. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I'm afraid that's the much we can take on today's edition of the program. It's been so informative and explosive too. So I'll say thank you to my panelists, and I would promise our viewers we'll bring this back again. You know, it's like 1 hour is not enough. I'll try and assemble you all again if I can. But thank you very much, Paul Alaje, so the lead economist at SPM Professionals. Thank you very much. Dr. Ikechi, if you can hear me, thank you very much. I see you still speaking over there, but we'll need to do another show. Dr. Ikechi is a lecturer and researcher at the Agricultural and Applied Economics Department, Yobe State University. Professor Gambo is the Dean, Faculty of Agriculture, Yobe State University. Thank you, Prof, for joining us today. That's the much we can take on today's edition of the program. I am Nancy Naji. Be the best you can be and be that change that you want to see. Bye now.